right, so this presentation will be about the mobile client. I haven't given one of these presentations in a little over a year now, I think. So a lot's changed since the last time I talked about this. It should be pretty good to go and update everybody on what's been happening. All right, so why? Well, this mobile client, the goal is to fill a hole, mainly on iOS, because Apple doesn't really support WebRTC. They don't. There's some inkling of support for it, but it's still very, very early stages, and there's no concrete evidence that they're like what kind of timeline they have. So definitely in North America, anyways, there's a big percentage of users that use iOS, and we need to be, if we want to have a mobile solution, we need a solution that doesn't just work on Android with the HTML5 client and WebRTC. So we need to fill that hole, and hopefully this client will do that. The other goal is we need to unify, or we hope to unify the design between all the different clients. Right now, they're sort of iterations of the same idea, but if we bring them all to the same core, then it'll be the same experience no matter what platform you're using, which I think will be really good. We also want it to be easy to develop and easy to maintain, pretty common for any software, I think. But this one especially, we've come up with some new ideas to try and lower our development time a little bit, hopefully. So what are we using? We've settled on Adobe AIR, Flex 4, and Robot Legs. Adobe AIR mainly because it'll run on Android and iOS from mostly the same code base. You just compile or create once and compile from many. I think that's the term. And that it just lowers our development time if we only need to really develop for one. Flex 4 is mainly because that's what Adobe AIR requires, and we're familiar with it from the Flash client that you're using now. So yeah, it's pretty good. And then Robot Legs is the new framework we decided to pick up. It's more structured, and it enforces the MVC coding practice, which is, I think, really nice to make things quicker to develop and easier to read for sure, and definitely easier to maintain when everything is in its place. So how are we going to achieve our goals? I want to structure everything really well, and we've gone down this path so far, and it's worked quite well. Basically sticking hard to the MVC structure and keeping everything compartmentalized makes it very easy to work with. There's also the goal of reusing code wherever possible. That means that we're creating, for the mobile client, we have a core library project that holds all of our our common code that isn't specific to the platform. So that's all of our connections to the server, all of our models, or most of the models, most of the views, the managers for the views, stuff like that, like stuff that isn't required for iOS. Other things like the login procedure is specific to the AIR client, so that's kept outside. But it'll make more sense when I show the document or the layout of the client. And then also we're going to be unifying the design. Again, I pointed this out in an earlier slide, but the goal is to make the same look and feel between all of the clients. So it's seamless no matter where you go to, no matter what environment. And keep it the same between mobile or, well, not the same, but very similar between mobile and the desktop. So it's expected. It's easier to understand what to use. You don't have to learn two different platforms. All right, so this is a diagram that I wrote up to sort of show the way we're structuring the client. And you can see we start from Red 5. That's the same, the free switch. This is all the same as it is now. And then you have these message senders and receivers, which are the same as what we're using in the Flash client, or similar at least. So same idea. And then we have our models and our views, and then the mediators control the views. They're like the go-between between the models and the UIs. And then the mediators send it to the command, which changes the model. So there's a circular structure or a circular flow, and then there's a circular flow to the whole thing this way, depending on whether or not you have to go to the server or not. And all this stuff within the dotted line is mostly, all that stuff is mostly in the common library project that I mentioned before. And the advantage to that is that if down the road we decide we want to take and create a Flex 4 desktop client, not just the AIR client, but a desktop client, we can take this common core, which is all the same stuff, and wrap it in a couple of other things that are needed for the desktop client, like the JavaScript libraries, which give us WebRTC audio, and the Desk Share applet, which gives us the screen sharing, publishing. And we can just take the core and wrap it around and leverage that extra work that we've already done to support the AIR client. So how far along are we? Right now we have the core, we have the presentation, the whiteboard, the chat, and user list. These are most of the things that are needed to sort of have a working client. I have bare bones client anyways. The only thing that's really missing is audio. Once we have audio in, then hopefully we can get out a test version or a beta version. Beta version will likely only be for Android, just because of iOS platform is a kind of a pain to work with sometimes. But for the starting anyways, we'll just give it an APK and people can download it. But it's a ways off. Not until 1.1 at least is out, because it's built on top of that. And what are we working on next? So next we're tackling the audio, the video, and then I've put settings in, but that's sort of minor. It's just the next big thing that we got to work on. We also really need to worry about mobile has an interesting problem or different problem from desktop, in that you have to worry about different screen sizes. People have all kinds of different DPIs on their screens, and you have to be able to make sure that your content doesn't look small on a really big screen or really high quality screen, and it doesn't look too big on an older phone. So once we have these dealt with, then I think we can be ready to release a beta, hopefully. And then these are some screenshots. If you've seen the HTML5 presentation, you'll notice that the colors and the look and the feel and the buttons at the bottom and the buttons at the top, it's all very similar to the HTML5 client, because we're building on the same designs. Some of the colors are still somewhat rough. I was just making, and same as sizing, like the font sizes are all wrong. I wanted to make sure that the core was in there before we pretty it up. And then here's the chat. Same idea, it looks the same. And then this is my first go at audio select. That's what I'm working on now. And then, so I had briefly touched on the fact that maybe we can leverage this for a web client. or leverage this work. So I explored the idea for a short bit, a couple weeks, just to see like how much work it would be to take the work that I've already done on the AIR client and the common library, and what it would be like to wrap that in the required classes to then display it on the web. Because if you can see in the mobile, you only see one screen at a time, but on the desktop, you want to be able to see everything. And I didn't show it in this screenshot just because it was kind of thin, but if you click on the public chat, it'll open up another panel here. Exact same idea as the HTML5 client. And it was surprisingly, it was a very good result, I think. I won't say anything one way or another to confirm anything, but it looked promising to be able to take it. And if we want to go this route, we can leverage a lot of the work that's already been done to support the AIR client. All right, so that's my presentation on the mobile client update. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them now. If not, I'll just end the presentation here, and everyone have a good day. All right. Yeah, have a good day. Hopefully this presentation was useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them on the Google groups. I'll be happy to answer anybody's questions. Thanks.